Good morning, everyone. How are you all today? My name's Scott, and welcome to the Trade the Pool live stream today. I think I'm flying solo today. I'm not too sure, but if any of you have any tickers you want me to take a look at, then just pop them in the chat, and we'll do a little bit of analysis straight after this. All right, so we've got some small cap poppers at the moment. I've got Soundhound. Soundhound, I already had a little go at this morning. It was running up yesterday. I had a little arrow here. It looks small now from the 2-minute chart that was basically saying if we broke this seller's hold level here at 438, that we could go to 566, which we, by the end of the day, we'd kind of got there, double topped, and then we pulled back to the VWAP, and then it's looking to go onwards now up to potentially $9. I do have a kind of bogey level that's always sitting in the middle here at about 7, kind of where it is. It's always just in between the two, about 50% of the way there. So we'll keep an eye on that. But at the moment, we seem to be holding liquidity pools at this time. So that is sound. I just want to bring that. Bring over. If I can just drag this over here to take a look at what I traded on the Trade the Pool system here. I called it earlier on. A bit of an early bird there, being in the UK. So see it breaking out from those highs overnight, and got in there about 6:32. Took some off because I didn't actually feel like it really had momentum. Looking at it on the chart, it looks like it does now, but that's I took half off there and left the other half running all the way to $7, where literally after I covered it, just spiked up there to 720 and then dropped off some. Since recovered and is still sitting at those highs. So that was my trade today. Let me just attach that back. Okay, so that is sound. Now, if we look at this on a kind of looking at it from yesterday, we went into higher highs, dipped back in the kind of just after the close, and then started to make new highs, potentially retest. We've now gone and broken those, and pre-market we're still sitting up 50% of where we come from in pre-market. So that is a good sign that there's still legs on Soundhound this morning. I would draw something in from the tops. I don't really like this the 8 a.m. bar here. I don't really like going with that because it is the liquidity switch on. So I'm going to take this next one here, which wouldn't be far off in any case. But this right here is my seller's hold level. So this is the level that I am looking to hold. Kevin, I'll take a look at Tesla straight after this, mate. So looking at that, right here is a seller's hold. I expect sell side liquidity. So I expect sellers to come in at this level. If they hold, it will be key as to whether or not we will come a little bit further down, or whether we can break this at 745 and close above it, whether we can then get for that bogey level and go for 9. But momentum should give us an eye on that. If we're holding these stair steppers like we was yesterday, that is an indication, a little consolidation, anything like that, we like to the upside. So taking a quick look at Tesla. Let's just have a quick look here. So Tesla, I've got, so it's kind of running guns at the moment. What's the time? We've got 25 minutes yet till the open. So I had Tesla from its lows. Well, let's move all this out of the way, tidy this up a little bit. So Tesla from its kind of lows around here in the pre-market from yesterday indicate we was looking to get up to this 203, 207 level. Now we've got a duplication with this and this over here. So we've kind of got two areas, but we're kind of stacking up here at 216. So 212 to 216. So that's what I'm thinking for a target. But as usual, we still have that business area to contend with. So the business execution that would have to be conducted at the open and where that would be driven from. Now, is that the 8 a.m. switcher? So again, the 8 a.m. switch on, indicating sometimes where it might like to use as a level later on in the day. It's kind of here already. But at the moment, I'm going to be taking buy side from literally the pre-market and taking it to the current highs. We will move this up if we need to get there. So if price continues to increase, this buy side liquidity will increase with it. It will move up with it. And I will follow that up. Just give me a shout to take a look back at it, and I will redraw it if we put in new highs. Now, that kind of also indicates the pre-market is quite huge here. So I would say that buy side, sell side execution is going to come in here for sellers and here for buyers. Now that's a very, very wide range. So what I will look for is see what that first swing looks like from Tesla, whether that's the last one in pre-market or the first one at the open. I'll have a look at that and work from there accordingly. But at the moment, this one I would expect to be best execution at the top. That's where the sells, so a pop to the top, have them bankers sell some of their, I'll place some of their sell orders for their clients, see if we can't come back to a buy side liquidity, and then we either range for the day, or we come for sell side and range for the day, or we can break out of this area and go for a little trend day. So let's mark that one up as buy side execution as well. Do best execution, I should say, not buy side. Okay. Right, so that's what I'm looking for on Tesla at the moment. So not chasing everything. We'll see what it does. If it pops here, I'll hold, wait. You know, it could be a sell. But let's have a look at the overall index at the moment. Let's have a look at the NQ. See what the NQ is doing. That's not helpful, is it? Morning, Adrian. How you doing? You all right? All good here. Okay, so we've been in this channel and we've toyed with breaking out of it a couple of times, and yesterday, a few days ago, was one of those, and now we're kind of toying with getting back into it again. Sellers hold here, buyers hold here. Now let's drop down a little time frame here and see what we've got. Okay, so we have a benchmark up here. Let's drag this down so I can do some. So regardless of, you know, the trend line here, we're testing the back of that at the bottom of that channel. We will have sell side liquidity that may have just broken. Yeah, so in terms of liquidity, it's no longer there, but I'm going to draw it in case it uses the back side of it. So you've got sell side liquidity sitting there on the NQ. Well, I've got buy side working here, actually. It's already worked from here to here. Touched in level 1 there. We've got a buy side there. And the overall buy side is just going to be a little bit lower, right? So I won't draw it in. It's pretty much there. We'll just bring that down a little bit so we know we've got an overlapping one. So currently, the NQ tanked into it. Well, it doesn't feel like it tanked, but if you look on a smaller time frame, it would feel like it did. So there's the NQ tanking into that first level. The VWAP sitting there. The 200 EMA was sitting there, and we've closed above it. Even on the 2 minute now, you can see that the sell side liquidity has come in, and this is all we do is just watch out to see which of these kind of breaks. So the most recent ones on the NQ that we've got is sell side. We're just pulling out of, having utilized it all, and the buy side, most recent buy side, is right here. Again, that is the buy side sitting there. We'd have the whole swing as well, literally from down here. See how this one worked down here, this one here. So I'm going to draw that in as well because they're literally not overlapping. So that one goes in there as well. So you see how these play out. We either can smash straight through them, which is obviously a sign that that the market is short and we can look for shorts, or we're looking to break this one and go to the upside. at the moment, I wouldn't do anything in this level on the NQ until the open, and we'll see where that volume's going. Adrian, you're doing good. Good man. Good man. AJ, good morning. What you got on your watch list? Mara and ZM. I have a quick look at Mara first. M-A-R-A. What have you got on Mara? I thought I marked up some Mara, did I not? Let's have a look on the hourly. No, maybe not. Let's have a look at Mara. Okay, so Mara, you can see we have a sell side liquidity pool sitting here back from the 15th all the way down to the 21st, and that's the pool we was looking to see whether or not it could hold. It didn't, and it's gapped up above that. So strong gap up. It's holding that gap right now as we speak in pre-market. So let's see where that could go. And I would say we'll be looking. Okay, so we're using the backside of what I'd call benchmark 1 here. And then we have the extended benchmark 2 sitting up at 35.56. Now, again, these Bitcoin related stocks can act like small caps. For big caps, I tend to go for this first benchmark. For small caps or extra volatility, we can go to these benchmark 2s here, these benchmark 2s. So we will see what we've got on Mara. In terms of a lower time frame, I don't like to go too low on these. All right, let's get that out of the way because that is null and void. If we test the backside of it, it will look like it's going to be obvious because we got that 29 level there. So we'll move that out of the way. Now we've just got a massive gap here. It's hard to run this apart from saying we can do this. Now that liquidity switch on did not acknowledge this level at this time. So we're just going to put that in there and say potential buy side. The most recent one, let's drop down to, give me a 2 minute. I think that's what we normally have to be down here after we've done our top down analysis. So yeah, ignoring the liquidity switch on. I don't know if any of you get caught up in that on pre-market, but it's not nice to sit through. Watching your P&L whipsaw. So we're right there on the buy side liquidity of Mara. And again, ignoring the switch on, we have just acknowledged the sell side liquidity. So I'll leave that as is. There are new ones coming in at these micro levels, but clearly this is what we've got to break. So again, for me, sitting on hands until we've got that opening position, and I'll have sell side liquidity at the top, buy side at the bottom. We have to break one of these to give us a trend. You would expect, given the gap up and the hold in pre-market, that we'd break the sell side and go looking for 36. So that would be my plan on Mara. What time we got? Just coming up for 1:15. Anything else on there? PANW, Adrian. PANW. Looking at this yesterday, I think, wasn't we? Okay, PANW still has, right, so benchmark 1 been acknowledged and looks like it's broke and we're holding the backside of it this morning. Okay, so that's my first thoughts on PANW. With regards to, yeah, okay, so let's take the low to the high here. That's going to be our buy side. Not there, but there. Now, sell side looks very messy up here, isn't it? It's almost... Is there any one that I can use? Where was this VWAP jump? Literally on the overnight. Is that a wick? There's a wick there. All right. Yeah. No. Okay. So that's going to be our most recent one, and that that's just a time. That is the pre-market open. And here you can see the liquidity switch on has acknowledged that, as it did before anyway. So the difference now is for Pan W is every sell side liquidity pool as we drag them over per swing is holding. Ignoring the switch on. That spot, ignoring that, you know, and still when we bring just bring this in, everyone, so at the control above 316, right? Still to this last swing. So the latest micro swing is going to be pretty much where the moving averages are if we want to come back to it right now. If we don't make any further lows, you're literally tucked in tight there. Now, like I said, the sellers are in control above 316.30. What is the exact number there if we look at that? 316.10. So we're going to call it 316.10. Thereabouts. If we break under there, we could drag into further liquidity because there's 3 liquidity pools here, 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes we tap into the top if that's all we need and we go, whoops. And other times we can literally accumulate down here and still hold this bottom. So that's Pan W for me, with legs on it till 345 area. Don't forget, profit taking occurs around 332. In fact, 330. That bogey level in the middle can hold for the day session. To be honest, it's you just got to be careful for that. So that is Pan W. Just keep an eye on what is Tesla still doing. So okay, so it's pulling back off that. So if this is the last swing going in, we've got 15 minutes. I like to take the last few minutes, right? So if I'm concentrating everything kind of on this area right now. So I'm looking to see, yeah, I really like this area to try and work out what Tesla could do in the session. So we'll come back to that. I can get rid of this one. Okay, what else we got on there? Nolly, how you doing? You're taking part of your Pan W swing from February 24th. Let's just jump back to that. Feb 24th. Yeah, so that's Feb 24. That's kind of the level that I would have. So I would not get involved. I would not have got involved in Pan W until I broke out of kind of 282. Where's that gone? Okay, this level. That's the, yeah. So for me, I don't like to be involved in this. The only time I like to be involved in this is if, you know, if I've got a key level. So this is a buyer's hold level, right? So I like it for price to stop and accumulate. So if price does accumulate in there, I'm just tracking these highs and seeing if that liquidity pool can hold. So that's the only time I like getting involved in that area, would be about 266 if it holds with a really tight stop at 262, because that's all it needs to be. From there on, I wouldn't get involved anywhere else above if I hadn't got in down there, because it can come back to the liquidity pool. But as soon as we see the break, that's when we generally try and find that momentum, right? And that's, as you can see, we break, test back, and then it flies off. And those small caps, there are 2 levels, like this one up here. There's 2 levels in between here for profit taking, but small caps generally, well, this is not a small cap, don't get me wrong, but when small caps can do that gap in a day, Pan W's done it on a day because of the catalyst, obviously. All right, what else we got here? 21st, you meant the 21st? Still, yeah, okay, yeah, that's it. That's exactly where we're working from. What else we got on the small cap land? Did I do AULT? Done Soundhound. HIMS as well caught my eye this morning. We've got 10 minutes till the bell. HIMS was working. It's been working its way out. It's kind of like it's done that. Let me have a look. It's got to go further back than that to find out. So HIMS cracked out of its level down here, broke above kind of 650, and then very quickly in terms of days, in terms of the trend. It didn't meander along here. It did take from November through to it did take the whole of November to get there, but it made its way to the benchmark. And now you can see that this is what can happen at a benchmark, is it just puts in those like head and shoulders, it puts in the triple tops, all that sort of stuff. But it just doesn't seem to be coming off. It's literally holding that last upswing. And to me, that's kind of just raises the alarm that this may not pull back to the liquidity pool, which for me would be down here. So liquidity pool at 7. So if it keeps sitting at the top near the benchmarks, it's definitely acknowledged it. That's great. That means benchmark 2 should be kind of there or thereabouts. So then I'm looking for what's happened now. So yesterday it started off, come back near to the close. It started rocketing through. After hours, that was what happened after hours. We went from 10 to 12. And we've held it this morning, but now we're holding the backside of this benchmark 2. Now, because this was so wishy-washy down here, if you like, I think we've got one more up there, and it's this guy up here. This was drawn in a while back, but this is where I'm looking for if we can stay above benchmark 2. And the only thing that's going to dictate that is what we're doing on the smaller time frame today. So clearly we're holding those highs, new highs, pretty much looks like new highs there. So we've just broken, ignore the switch on. So we've just broken that. So that was there, it's no longer there. I've got to draw it in case we use the back side of it. That's our sell side. So all I've got to go on now is really our buy side. So let's have a look. So most recent one touched. Sorry, not the most recent one. The first one here touched. The most recent one now is sitting here. So looking to see if we can pull back, hold 1220s, 1215s to see if it's got any more on it. Where did we actually come from here? Yeah, so it's it could have more on it. I'm not sure what the catalyst is for this. Nothing huge that I can see on there. Nothing huge, but that's what I've got for HIMS. In any case, let me just take a quick look back at SOUN. I want to see if that's still holding highs. Yeah, okay. So sell side liquidity pool just caught in here and working. So same thesis on this one, other than drawing in the most recent. Ah, hello, Tim.
Hello, good morning. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm very well, very well.
I saw that you were just like rocking through those charts, just boom, boom, boom. So
that's it. That is it. What have you? You got anything that you're watching, or you want me to give you a few minutes there?
Yeah, I'll be kind of just looking over my newsletters and things, getting a sense. Yesterday was kind of a weird day for me, so I'm going to be taking it a little bit later today because I wasn't really able to make too much sense. So I think I had a little migraine going, and just sharing that because, like, I think that's important for traders to keep in mind too. It's it's about your own capabilities in the day, right? So, but just from a market sense, it was tough for me to make sense of what was going on yesterday too. So I'm feeling kind of generally bearish, but I'm trying to figure out if I still feel that way, if that makes sense.
Okay. So you've not got any of your earnings plays or anything on the go there at the moment, just working through your newsletters and stuff.
Yeah, I had let's see, I have Robinhood, so it's funny because I'm still bullish on them longer term, and they popped up in the pre-market. I shorted them, and I'm writing that down a little bit. But we'll see if that continues up we'll see if they close what'll be that morning opening gap there or what.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll take a look at that, and let's put Hood up there. I'll take a look at that in a sec.
Yeah, I would love your take on that. And then someone mentioned app yesterday, I think in our chat. So that was I don't know if you pulled that one up yet, but that one's
what was that one?
App.
No, I haven't looked at that. What is that earnings play for? No, it's not earnings, is it?
Catalyst. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's I'm not sure if there's a catalyst or not. I can see if I can see who that trader was and ask if they had
inside the shares. Quick look back on the daily on that. Whoa.
That one's funny. It's kind of a fractal thing because on a short term time frame, it had a very similar sort of vertical pop there. Just in the pre-market, if I was looking at the right chart there. Let me see.
All right, not calling benchmarks on that. I'd see a liquidity ball sitting up there huge. It's a massive area given where it's come from. It's on the daily. I'd have to really get down and analyze that one. I'm going to do Janex though for, let me just check this back. All right, that's just sell side sitting up there. If I was to do a quick look at it. Right, I'm going to say benchmark. In a benchmark, that's what I've got to admit. Literally, the highs that we're at the moment, if we're breaking above them, above 60, then perhaps 88. But this is not necessarily going to be a quick flash up there on this one, given how long it's taken to get there. JANX, on the other hand, could be what over in JANX. I think I was close to JANX. Okay, so JANX is hit the bogey level for me, smack in the middle of these two areas. That's one you've got to watch out for profit taking. $20, 20.86 up there as well is fine for a target. If we can hold the backside of this, if I'm dropping down to a 2 minute. Whoa, I was doing on the daily. We've absolutely smashed that. But let me get back to that daily again. Pre-market is at 30. So that generally means you're going to double that area. So let's plot that again. Generally means you can take that same area. Let me drag. So watch that benchmark. We've come in. Right. So I'm going to use the same formula from the bottom and just put it on the lowest point it got to after that benchmark, which is it kind of really didn't. I'm going to have to use this one and then hit it again and call 44. So we're working through messily through this morning. But that is what I would use. That's a huge pop there. Supernova on the go. That's my definition of when a stock can go supernova. If it breaks that 20, if it breaks that benchmark 2, that's when it can just rock and roll. I will go and plot buy side sitting here. Buy side. And sell side sitting. We're through sell side. We are through sell side. I'll plot it in case we pull back. We're right there right now. Okay. Here we go. Let's keep an eye on this.
Ding, ding.
Sell side needs to break. We've just popped into that with tunnel. So generally, liquidity wise, the sellers are not really there, but you can see they are. So this is just whether we're retesting that. If not, retail can take over here at this point. 36.80 to break the highs if we're going to go up there to 43. Let's put that on watch. Mara, Mara's held sell side. Again, buy side's probably gone right now in terms of the liquidity that was sitting there. If we close below now, be wary of this switch on here. Be wary of that. I don't normally like cutting the switch on, but from that low to the switch on there, it's just teasing that. So be careful on if you're thinking short on Mara. I'm still waiting for one of these to be clear right now. AULT. So benchmark one holding. Benchmark one holding. Obviously, this can come slamming down. If you was looking at ALUT to short, I'm taking the first swing if roundabout here holds, and that sell side would have to hold for me, right, in order to get short. That would be my least risk short. If you like shorting day one stocks. Soundhound, I've already had this morning, like I said earlier. So stuck at the very moment in between these two levels. So again, still looking for a breakout if I think we're going to get up there to that 9. That's what I thought we might get pre-market. It just seemed to be so strong here earlier on. And again, with that second push, that I thought we was literally going to go straight there. So maybe they've saved some for the live session traders. You never know. HIMS that I was looking at, still holding those highs. Still holding those highs.
This is a crazy one.
You know,
sorry, Napa. I'm not sure what happened there. I guess a few things are. It might just be that this is overnight low liquidity, but I just got a fill on a option sell like right off the open, and then I looked at the chart and it just popped. Nothing overnight, and now the bid even is way above where we were yesterday. So I don't know if that's just movement from overnight, but there wasn't. It's very strange. There's like a intraday gap up right after the open. I don't know what to make of it. You ever seen something like that?
Not really. No, it's a weird one. It's almost. Well, it's a bit.
Oh, this was on Napa that I was talking about. I'm not sure what's on
you guys.
Yeah.
Napa.
If you're in the middle of an analysis, I just wanted to call it out for anyone who wanted to. I guess I don't want to encourage chasing.
What you mean? I was just saying. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
But I don't want to pull you out of hymns if you're still.
No, that's right. I mean, that would definitely be. I don't even have to measure it out. That's the sell side liquidity, and you've popped above sell side liquidity. I think that's what Mara done as well. Mara, I think, done a similar thing. I wasn't on the okay, different timing, but yeah, that was literally a gap up from the overnight. So Mara's still trapped between there, so just waiting for a breakout of one of those. Put Napa back on. I just want to take a look at what Tesla done in the open, and Soundhound as well. I want to follow up on Soundhound. Okay, Soundhound doing its same thing. Quick look at Tesla. Right, Tesla. What do we got? So it didn't quite get up to 206.30, and it is. Let's get rid of this. See if we can't have a look at. Whoa, didn't want to do that. So, okay. So I'm now going to take this area here, which we're breaking away from. This is an area here, and I'm going to have targets. So this is profit taking targets now. Now Tesla has for the past couple of weeks, right? So I think there's a sell here on Tesla. Let's have a quick look. So Tesla for the past couple of weeks has given me this target too, and you can see the 200 EMA sitting right there on here. But I'm literally taking this swing out of the pre-market and have levels at 203.14, 202.33. The liquidity ball from the last swing up sits down here as well. So does the benchmark for this session or this morning. So I would expect Tesla to sell off with a minimum of 202.33. I know some of these are, quite tight on when we're executing these with the positions that you can hold, but that's target one filled. And I'm going to look now to the 1 minute to see how it's handled that, because if we can get any sort of consolidation here on Tesla, or it's just going to go straight for it. Let's see. Looks like it's going straight for it. I've taken a little position on there just in case we can get all the way down to, I think, well, so here's back, the back side of that now. If not, I'll cover this. Right, so let's see if we can get some consolidation down here, or it's either going to reverse and go top side. So here and here, top of these 205.93, bottom 203.83. If we can get some consolidation, I'd like to see 202.27, but ultimately 201. Let's see if we can get it. I'm going to add there again. Let's see if we can push this down in now. If we can get to 202.33, I'd really like it to just flush through that, to be honest, rather than take off. But, you know, it's what it is. Let's see if we can get... Just drop that down to a 1 minute. Now you're looking at Meta there. Take a quick look at that. Meta over here. Right, okay, so there's the next target filled there on Tesla. So straight down, straight up. Didn't go for its best execution. That's the next target here. I'm hanging right now. There's no chance of me getting out of that right now. 1 sec. Okay. Hopefully this is consolidation. No problem. Okay. So what I was saying earlier, Tesla for the past, I don't know, every time I've traded Tesla, it's held this second profit target level and then kind of gone back for a look either completely the other way or to the liquidity pool. So, you know, quite standard would be to come back up here to where we were to grab some liquidity if we need it. If not, I'd still rather this be a consolidation play, obviously, because I've already got that position on and added. But if it's going to whipsaw back, I will reduce that position. Let's just check what the NQ is doing here. So NQ's tanking.
Yeah, and there's
through.
there's that sell energy I was looking for.
You got some on the cues, or just looking to confirm that that's what you've been feeling like it's doing? Yeah?
Well, that's what I was feeling, and let me see if I can share my. I have a magical line I drew.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure when I drew it, but you know, like I said, I love it when those actually line up. But yeah, I have it coming up on, what is this? Well, I mean, it looks like it's falling through. It might, yeah.
There's two buy side pulls there. That's the nice one at 18008. As soon as that's failed, and then you've got something sitting right underneath it here that's just gone through again. That's beautiful. Right into this. So we get down to 7, right into the buy side area. Everyone's waiting to see if this is what, if that's what's gonna crack, right? It's with holding the back side of that channel that's been holding us up here for a long time now. Go on, Tim. Yep.
You
got your line.
Yep, nothing major, but yeah, you can see right here I drew this on the 12-minute chart, and Nasdaq kind of coming down just here. Now this could be one of those times where it just sort of undercuts VWAP and pushes again. Like we see a lot of these. I feel like we see a lot more of the market just pushing these levels, pushing these trend lines, pushing these what we'd call averages, you know, just to I guess back tests you'd call them. But it is interesting, the divergence here, Nasdaq and then the Russell. I mean, Russell's losing some ground here if I go in. Starting to lose some strength, but this is yeah, tech is getting hit hard here. That's interesting.
The Russell being like the, is it top 2,000 small cap, or
It's the smallest 2,000 of the largest 3,000, if I remember correctly. Because they've got the Russell 1,000, 2,000, and 3,000. So I think the 3,000 are the 3,000 largest, and the Russell 2000 is the bottom 2/3 of that.
Gotcha.
I am not at all 100% positive on that,
though. Okay, no worries. So just looking at SoundHound, it cracked the buy-side liquidity pool here. Let me just take a look at Tesla quickly. Bring that back. Tesla, I think it's had its little retest here. All right, so now looking for I'd love 201. Yeah, 201 would be really nice. Let's see what we got here. So just while Tesla's thinking about doing that, SoundHound has broken its buy-side liquidity pools. You can see it dropped there from 680 to 650. Sell-side liquidity held up there just before the open. Now we've pulled back and we've got another one. There was another one there as well. You can see how these are. So if this holds now, we could have a sell on. There you go. It's just touched it in. You've got a 200 EMA there. We've already broken the buy side. That's a shame because at the minute I did want to break that upside and see if we can get to that $9 on SoundHound. And remember, this is classed as an AI stock. So let's have a look what the overall, so the SOX and the SOX XL. Yep. So pretty much following along the lines of the NQ at the moment. Down. So not surprising. That's just following the trend of the semiconductors there. Nvidia, therefore the same. Amazon, not decided yet. So for Amazon, I would be for Tesla went straight into that buy side liquidity pool and pinged out. I've got 201.03. I should have covered that. Let's cover that. I'll come back to Amazon in a second. Oh, wow. Okay, so, well, there you go. Cut that out when I should have done. Let's cover this out now. All right, that's a shame. That is a shame. Hold on, while I'm here, I might as well wait and see if this sell side liquidity holds. I might add. But yeah, in any case, that's the way I like to play it. I was literally, I don't know, 5 cents off of that benchmark, but smacked into that buy side liquidity pool and didn't look back. I'm going to see now I'm wary that we've got these two upsides that I drew in here and here. And obviously the initial one off the swing is here. So I'd be very surprised if it doesn't want to come for one of those for the sellers to get involved. But if this swing down is going to continue, this sell side pool is going to hold. It's like that's kind of what it's gunning for. It's just whether it needs the liquidity to carry on down further, which I don't think so because it's hit its benchmark, and whether it's just going to smash through this to the upside now. Never mind. Okay. Let's see what Meta chooses to do. I was just having a look at Amazon there. Not there's anything funny, but this is what I mean about the buy side and sell side best execution is that swing that you see in pre-market. Not that one. And this box, so this is again just that 175 and down here around 173 to try and execute best executions of that business done. So I don't think the business is yet finished conducting on Amazon. I think we'll go up to 175 for the sell orders to be placed. So until that happens, nothing to do, which is looking why it's looking like it is. Tesla, I'm not convinced. Not convinced on Tesla. That could be. If I wasn't, so I'm kind of short side with you, Tim, on the overall NQ. But I would certainly be looking, as we touch that benchmark, be looking here to look higher. And that would be going up towards 216 if that was the case. In any case, sell side's got a break for that to happen.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a sense. I'm just trying to get a read on the markets as a whole. Now I'm starting to see some downside movement here. But I was looking for things to separate out. Now Disney, I've been bearish on just in general. I think they've got still a lot of they've got a hard road ahead of them from a legal standpoint, and just pressure on the streaming numbers. But this could be a rising wedge forming there on Disney today. Beyond that, it's just I'm just trying to get a sense. I'm still puzzled by this push on Napa, other than it being earnings next week. So we could be starting to see an earnings run up. Feel bullish on them. That's how come I had calls, but I don't know. I feel like this could be the start of some. I'm seeing just in a couple retail and consumer things, maybe some weakness. So it could be that those follow, that this is where they follow NASDAQ, but this could also just be a wicked bear trap on NASDAQ here, right? Like I see it possibly catching right here.
So if I'm looking, I think here. Yeah, so I'd let things happen here right now. I'd let things happen in that area until we get a bust of either side of one of these, I think. It's going to have levels either side of that. It's just depending which way it wants to go. I'm struggling on this. Kicking myself on Tesla right now that I just didn't get to that close. Banging the sell side liquidity right now. So yeah, Netflix. Oops, I'll just draw the other one in for you. It's either way right now for me, apart from looking back at the overall trend. But this was the sell side liquidity pool, which it has broke to the upside. So that's where we was. So if you were going to continue down, you didn't even get to the buy side. I don't think we even got to the buy side liquidity on that, to be honest. Just run that in, see if we did take it. And I'm going to have to cover here shortly 205.23 on Tesla. I'll show you that sell side pull in a second on Tesla, but it's struggling. Yeah, so we didn't come down and get this, which is normally, a more aggressive move. You're going, Tim, what you got?
Oh no, just Robinhood just suddenly started doing that turn down. Just right at, I'm gonna see if that was right at 9:48.45, so not really a key time by any means. But I might close that play out from the pre-market and then look to take a fresh, see where that stands here. But still trying to get a sense of patterns, so I didn't chase that one yet. Target pushing up again, so.
Google Gem. A little alert on this one in case we do break out of either one of these. I'm just going to check my Tesla. Okay. Now, I don't think I've managed this at all well, because I should have been ordering. I should have been covering this trade down at 201, anywhere near this benchmark. Not trying to, and I wasn't waiting for it to get any lower or anything like that. It was just because I was looking at another stock there. But if so, this sell side liquidity busted in terms of it. Right? We've gone all the way through each of the three, and now I think it's just it doesn't feel like I've just got this level up here at 206 that I'm almost convinced they want for sales, if not higher. I'm going to look away from it for just 1 minute again, just to see if that sell side pull can't give me some chance. I can't add to it yet. It's not giving me enough sell side to add. I want to see it at least put some sort of swing up there that I can work from. So Google, let's have a quick look. Higher time frame, what have we got here? So we still, so that was negated, but it's still kind of there. But unless that was an 8 a.m. and then it's an 8 a.m. I'm ignoring it. Okay, that's an 8 a.m. switch on. So this is now working into that last sell side liquidity that it's looking for from the swing up. In fact, it was the first swing up that never got taken out completely. So that's what it's looking for here. Sell side liquidity would have held here. I don't know about here. This looks a bit off. It worked off this last swing in as I was tracking it down. How much of it did we take? Yeah, all of it. Didn't take all of it on the bigger version of that. Just tapped in. So sellers effectively in control above 138 on Google. The most recent one you've just broken. Okay. But I personally wouldn't chase that now. That was your bias, right? So that's, yeah. So I personally wouldn't chase. Now it's broke. A sell there. If we get dropped down a bit, it was yesterday's trade, wasn't it? Okay. So let's look at what we've got right here, right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be chasing anything. I feel like it's just the same. It feels like the same energy as yesterday. Something's can't quite put my finger on it, but something's feels off. It's not very scientific, but you know, I'm trying to learn to listen to that.
Intuition? Is it intuition, that?
Something. Let's see, we're on Tuesday. What is happening? We've got consumer confidence coming up in 6 minutes.
Good shout, Tim. Let's have a quick look.
That could be interesting. And then later in the week, just jobs data on Thursday, which of course could be big. Jobs data, manufacturing, PMI, and consumer sentiment. So we've got, we've got consumer confidence today. I think that's the Challenger one. CB, what is that? They're not giving me the info on it. And then Friday is University of Michigan. So we could even see some positioning today for Friday options, right?
Yeah.
If people try to use this as tea leaves for Friday's survey.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so Google for Gem. Looking at the smaller time frame here, obviously if there is a break of the buy side liquidity pool, that's a longer term play to the downside for Google. Just looking at what is going on business wise this morning, we've definitely come in. Is that the switch on? Ignore that. So there were buyers sitting around this level here, 139. Spike below, come back up to the middle, didn't go straight across to the other side for any sell orders at this time. So sell side liquidity pool currently sitting up here at 139 to 139.50. And these would be the two target levels at 138 160 and 138. There will be one lower as well, coming at about 137. It'll come in about 137. So that's how I see it. So I would either sit on hands right now or play the sell side liquidity. If we pull up here to 139.30 and start, pin bar, anything like that, rejecting out of there to get short on Google. NQ, look back at Tesla. What's Tesla doing? Oh, okay. That's better. Makes my...
And I am looking at a GameStop short here. Just dip my toes in a bit.
All right, let's just get this down. So let's have a look at GM. Is that GMA, did you say?
Yep.
So, yeah. So
I was trying to short this yesterday. But I was still said dip my toes in. That was intraday here in the trade the pool account. I was holding well, I had one put that I held overnight, but yeah, it just ran on me. So we'll see what happens in 3 minutes here. This is real interesting. What you see in there, Scott?
So I'm looking at the ones that work. This works, and my lot, I'd say that worked. Yeah. So from when it stopped working, we come all the way down here. So I would take sell side liquidity. Yeah, you've just literally popped into sell side liquidity there for me. I'd have to jump down to smaller time to see if that coincides with any benchmarks though. Can't see anything on the 5. Dropped down to 2 from yesterday.
And so just as a recap, what does that mean for you when you see the sell side liquidity?
Liquidity is for is generally program trades either to the long side or the short side, where another institutional player would be able to get a favorable price compared to what it was previously, whether it is long or short. So for there would be a program player sitting up here at GME that, compared to when it's down here, obviously gets a better price to sell out of their position. So I look for those program trades to the long side, the short side. They're there all the time. They're a basket of stocks, which is why in the small cap world, those, supernova season or whatever you like to call it, is when they all start to happen, is because there's a basket of stocks within that program. And that's just it. It is a better price to sell at than where it currently is, and it's pretty much, and you could even like take these lows down here and treat it. You can treat that whole day like it's like I treat pre-market, and hit that and say, where am I likely to kind of work out at best execution? Well, it's up here at about 13.14. So 13.90, 14 is the liquidity pool. Anything else is just a bit of a chop up if you're thinking longer term than that. So if I'm now dropping down to look for that kind of pre-market level, see, I'd love to, so see that little pull down there what we popped into on the open after being up at 78, popped into it at 70. And I would use that. So at the minute you've done your target 1, your target 2. These are profit taking levels.
Yep.
And there's a final one up here. Like I say, neither anything has done its benchmark at this time. And a benchmark is a session benchmark, so it doesn't have to do it straight away. But everything today, apart from Tesla, which did kind of almost get there, a lot of them are stopping at their profit take 2. as opposed to going there. But I love this little pattern when you get to a buy pull. Yeah, this little double top, higher double top. But this could turn into any sort of accumulation that could last a little while here. But
interesting.
But
now, what do you see on Disney here?
Sorry,
keep.
No, that's all right. No, all I was going to say is just in terms of where a better price would be at the moment would be 410 and 1381. So I'm hoping for you it would be 1381 because that would indicate the sell pool is working out. Disney, I'm going to check Tesla just before I check Disney. It's him.
Go for it.
So he should have had it, shouldn't I? How big of a pin bar in a sell side liquidity pool do I want? Okay, so let's see what we get here because I know now what I've got to be careful of right here is this. So in fact, that's going to make me just cover my trade actually at scratch. Thank you. Literally for a scratch. So my Tesla trade. So I'm nervous about buy side liquidity pools because if business has just been done here, we can just then spend the rest of the session between these two, between that one and this one. So that is how I play. Right, so yeah, I'm nervous of that just coming all the way back up before it comes down. If it does want to go to 200, if it does, it doesn't matter. My trade's over now. It was a scratch just to show you my... Yeah, so that was my entry. My exit should have been down here at 201.10. Anywhere near there it would have been actually sensible, but I left the trade going because of the sell side liquidity pool, so I've now managed to get out and scratch. So not the best, but not the worst. Disney.
And now look at that. Yeah, just a real quick to flip over there on NASDAQ. Yeah, that was just sort of a cruel bear trap on the morning sell. It's reclaimed almost all of the opening sell off.
Wow, yeah. Again, straight into so let's
and they're right on. Look at that. It just stopped right at that line, right at the 50% of that box you drew. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yes, right in there. So let's keep an eye on that.
It's amazing what insight into the market mechanics can get you there. So
yeah, it's like I said, like
winning me over, Scott.
It's all done from today or maybe the pre-market or yesterday's session. That's as far as it goes back. But yeah, I don't pull those levels in from the left, like from weeks ago. However, I caveat that there are definitely instances when you see pulls at those levels or you'll see benchmarks at those levels. But generally, you know, those guys come in, they have business to do for their clients and they don't look back to what happened 2 weeks ago to conduct that business. That's
okay. And oh wow, consumer sentiment is down. And apparently also the manufacturing, some manufacturing indices are down. But yeah, consumer sentiment survey was, I'm not sure what this is out of, but it was 106.7. Previous was 110.9, but the consensus was 115. So I'm guessing it was in an uptrend. People were expecting it to keep pushing, and all of a sudden it turns out consumers are not so confident. So there could be a little bit of a rug pull there.
Yeah, I agree totally with what you're saying there, Mark Scott. Absolutely. So
I'm gonna maybe look at look again at the those retail and consumer things and see if I see what I'm expecting anyway.
Gotcha.
I want to see.
Okay, so just breaking out.
Try target here, short.
Netflix just breaking out to the upside. Thank you, Nolly. It is just closing above that level now. So I'd still be dubious, like I say, when I draw these levels in. These orders are kind of like this around here, all right? So both top and bottom, that's where those, when I call them best execution levels, that's really where they're sitting around. So don't take the actual 600.79 as the price. You've got to let this show you and convince you that this is upside. And then when you get a seriously nice close, then you can start to look at it. So at the moment, not a close on even the 1 minute above this level. But those of you that are consolidation players, that is what you're seeing right now. If you like to play that momentum, you could argue that's momentum. I'm just a fan of letting it spike and potentially pull back and then saying, yeah, we've definitely closed above now. Let's go for 605. So that's Netflix. Sorry, Tim. Disney, right? Disney.
Yeah. I'm curious your take on those liquidity pools, liquidity targets, and then Target as well. Speaking of targets.
Okay. All right, Dimmy. Okay. So this is sound. Keep an eye on sound, everyone. That's just done. It's just got up there to 780 and starts coming off, but it doesn't look like it doesn't look too scary. It's not completely dumped off that level. Okay, so Disney. So I think this is where I was feeling the Epic Games thing might overshadow the internal problems that Disney's got, but that was this. So we're holding 50% above that, just generally eyeballing it right now, but I am going to look when we started failing here.
Yeah, no, 50% above what now?
50%. I don't know if that was the exact date, but I know there was a release, and so this is earnings, and I don't know when the Epic Games news announcement was, but
and
I think some of you Robinhood traders were getting in on that based on the Epic Games news. They bought 10% of Epic Games, didn't they?
Okay, and I don't know when that shareholder. Let me see if I can get my calendar here. Corporate event calendar. Okay, they've got the the shareholder meeting is April 3rd. I'm guessing that's when they've got their proxy battle there. Nelson Peltz.
Gotcha.
Going over there.
Okay, so just looking at yesterday's data, I'll go back a bit further in a sec. Just looking at yesterday's data, taking that here. Actually, let's take it from the correct height. So yesterday, you can see there's one here that would have worked. This one here would have worked, and then we pretty much skipped one, which is why we went probably for its benchmark yesterday. Let's have a quick look at what that would have been around about. Yeah, so that's the gap in the middle that I look for. That's a day's business there, right? That's it, and I expect it to end at the benchmark. So that would, for Disney yesterday, was an ideal play. Why can't I grab that? Delete. There you go. So yeah, so from down here, I would expect it to come up. So I'd expect it to come back to the sell side liquidity pool if the sell side is going to hold. So the whole one would be sitting right about there. Sell side. Okay, so that's the sell side. So I've got a reason now for Disney to be short from yesterday for today. Looking back on the overall high, though, I've got so this very low here. Yeah, so I'd kind of have this down here as a target for me, just as I would. I can't grab that. So 175. And then on the daily downside, you can see I'm a little bit higher up than where we are. Whoops. All right, so there's your sell side. But currently on the essentially the micro now, then you can see that this is holding currently the sell side. If we broke 108.51, I would expect to go to 109, 110. But as it stands, until that point, we're just looking at what we're doing today, and we had the sell side liquidity sitting there, and the job today then is just to check who breaks, if anyone, or we just sideways for the day. So for today, given the opening range on buy side here and your current sell side, I'm not sure we've tapped into it, did we? Yes, there's the low. So we didn't quite hit its sell side, given that we was already in one from the larger session as well. There's Hood. I've got an alert on Hood. So Hood's broken out of one of those best execution levels right now. Yeah, so for me, Disney, it's held the VWAP. It potentially didn't need that liquidity up there, so chances are it's going to head down to this 107.90 area. If I was benchmarking this lot, just checking sound. It did seem to come off there. Okay, yes, that was a nice little pound sound, but sorry, back to Diz. Yeah, if we're talking benchmarks on this, I have the benchmark lower. Let me just check that. Okay, profit take number one. What am I doing on the wrong screen? Sorry, but right. If I'm here and we're talking benchmarks now, this is completely different concept, really. So you're saying, yeah, you've now got this area that I'd class as manipulation. Don't really want to get in it unless we break to the downside. Let's just get that high. So you have target one here, target two. Oh, I don't like that. Target two sitting right in the buy side liquidity pool. So again, that's the pattern that we've seen. The benchmark for the day, as it did do yesterday, is down here, 107.50, 107.40. So if, again, we're going to do a textbook business day, we are going to, and that's what we've done here, right, is ignoring that switch on. We would have gone for best execution levels to the top up there, so in between. We haven't come to the bottom of it. The bottom of that best execution lies where the liquidity switch on was, funnily enough, at 107.37. So that's normal for me. We've executed those sales at the top. It was in a sell side liquidity pool. We didn't necessarily need the small time frame. We are now playing our way down to the buy side, and if we get the momentum, down to the benchmark. Disney, sorry, not Disney. Wanted to have a look at Soundhound. Definitely has a nice VWAP play as well. So you've got some retail on your side on Disney. Tesla, not Tesla, Sound. Okay, so that's why you got to look out for what I call the bogey level, because I think we put this in pre-market, right? It was. You just got to look out for that. And the only way to play that for me is because you didn't get a pullback at all. So what I will be doing at that level to try and get into that trade is saying, I want it to come back to 66. It didn't. And that's the reason why it didn't need it. So you've now broke everything. So we broke, these are now, that was negated at the point we broke through it. So is that one, and we're just breaking through this one now. However, your buy side is right here. So that's what I have as my target generally. So if I'm short up there, the only other short I could take on that is, let's look at it on the 1 minute. Is a 1 minute close beneath the stair steppers here, these moving averages. Yeah, so it would literally be this one. Short is 754. You have to risk high of day, you know, kind of 40 odd cents there or whatever, and that's your risk. Whereas I'd much rather be in the 60s risking 90s, but yeah, it's not bad. But I've missed the trade, so yeah, you could have just shorted. Yeah, Tim, what you got?
No, I'm just looking at Target, and And then
Oh,
especially
sorry.
just comparing it quickly to Walmart is interesting.
Disney's hit target, by the way, on that one. Let's get Nolly off the old chat there. Target.
Yeah, just TGT. There you go.
Just have a look at yesterday. Similar deal to Disney, isn't it?
So I see weakness in Target, but I don't know if I'm early or if it's picking up again.
So technically or fundamentally, or because of what it's doing up at the highs here?
To be honest, I don't know. So this might be a case where I need to take a step back and reimagine. I mean, I have a channel from. I mean, I don't know how this works to draw channels off of a Renko, but I see room up to like 165 potentially, but it's been feeling weak to me lately, and with consumer sentiment being weak, it seemed like that could be a thing. And I also see. I'm trying to figure out if this is a wedge forming or what's going on here. So I would say if it pushes up again through here, then whatever I was looking at in the short term is invalidated. But I'm curious your take on it. And then I was comparing it to Walmart, which that one is just bleeding out today.
So we've got Walmart.
So this is another one. I'm curious if the direction is pull out just a little on these. I've just got the directions reversed, or if what's happening here.
So let's just check Walmart. I think Walmart's
Now they did just do that split over the weekend. So they had a little bit of a pop off of that. It was interesting. They sold and then pushed up. Split adjusted, they're still up from last week. And there's a little bit of room down to... Actually, this is I think this is the 200 EMA. So the 200 EMA lines up almost exactly with... Now, these are HA candles, and I'm looking at just the body here. But that 200 EMA lines up just exactly with the kind of the core of the top of Friday's high. So I'm guessing we might push up, but we gotta backtest down to there. What do you think?
So
down to this 59.16, I guess.
Guys, be careful on Janex. If you're trading Janex, it's just 43 or 42.95 was very, very close to its benchmark. So it broke out of its liquidity, its sell side pull there. So that was a long up to the benchmark. I would now be wary. Obviously, these things can go supernova, right? It's at $43. So I would just be looking for a cheeky short.
Cheeky short, huh?
A cheeky short front side. I would be looking up there, kind of that 41.20 area, if possible, if it can hold. So I need to see a pin bar, rejection, a close beneath the moving averages up at that point, as opposed to where we are now. Because, maybe not a retail sell quite there yet. But we'll see. Okay, so that's your Janex. Back to Walmart, Tim. With Walmart, I have.
But now, what are you looking for the retail sale? You're just looking at kind of the levels where retail might sell it, or what do you mean?
Yeah, just aware of what other what other chat rooms are doing that have a certain in small caps. That all kind of matters. It doesn't matter so much with the big caps, but in these smaller caps that have come from wherever, from $8, and we're now up at $42. the
No
herd.
kidding.
Like I said before, in the NASDAQ, it's like you can actually go on the NASDAQ and see who the players are in the NASDAQ on any given day. And retail traders make up more than institutional these days. Only, no offense to anybody, but we're not all on the same page, are we? Whereas from an institution side of things, generally they're all on the same page. So a retail sell for me, the ideal one would be down here, and it's a nice one as well, because generally, like if this lines up with a buy side liquidity pool, and the entry would be red to green, where green is above the close of red, I would like it. Now at the moment, this red bar, actually look at the 1 minute, we might get it, because it is the 1 minute entry I'm talking about. Yeah, so pretty much right here would have been a retail buy entry, assuming they are expecting the stock to continue on up and go to 50 or whatever. That's a decent buy. Now, the reason I find I quite like them is because, right, it's just dipped into 41 there. Let's see if that was it. The reason I quite like that is because when this lines up with the liquidity pool, I think, well, yeah, I've got them on there to have an idea if they line up the same, because then you've just got more people on your side. So yeah, always looking for those. I've got that momentum scanner that is looking at the tape and the speed of the tape that calls out. So I've got that on my side, which says if I'm into a buy side liquidity pool and I hear the bidders coming in fast, then obviously I know they're there at that point. It's the only way you know you're there, because they're not always on the level 2. And if I've got that kind of cool, that confluence in with the retail getting in, then like you just say, it just went from 38 to 40 to a best part of 41 there on that play.
And now I'm starting to see everything. I got to look at semis and stuff, but I'm starting to see everything curl over in unison here. So Disney, Disney done that level 2, right? Profit take 2 into the buy side liquidity. And yeah, that's for me, that's the gap. It's the only safe play on Disney is breaking out there at 108.15 down to 107.90s, and then you've got to be careful of what Tesla did do. But ultimately, the benchmark for the day should be down at 107.50, but it's pulled back now for. And so, what were you saying as far as the only safe play? You would wait for it to make its move further up into this liquidity pool, or you see this as a. So let me just mark that in sell side. So obviously I'm overlaying a lot of things here, right? So I expect business to be conducted sell side at 108.69. If it is not, then my thesis is, right, it's either going to happen later or they don't need 108.69 to execute sell orders. Like at a best execution price, right? Better than where it was when we opened effectively. So 108.02 should be set at 108.65. We didn't quite get there, so it turns and comes back down. Now it breaks out of 108.17, where I would expect the buyers to kind of accumulate dotted around this area, like I said earlier, and then come back again. They have the opportunity to go for 108.66 or the sell side liquidity pool, which is next best execution level. If they break out of that first zone, where I expect all that business to be conducted in the first 30 minutes, then I've got a safer trade where my profit target, so anywhere here that we closed below, any rejection of this upside, doesn't matter, this one here, VWAP here, that's the safest place to take the chunk down to the liquidity pool. Ultimately, I would have loved that to ignore the liquidity pool and smash right through to the benchmark, because that would mean Disney's done for the day for me. Like, bar and NASDAQ huge trend, everything, that would just be a normal day, a normal day's business. So now we've hit that buy side liquidity pool. We're toying with the most latest sell side. We still have this one up here that they can take, right? They can still come and get this if they want it.
So it's not all free sailing at all. Walmart. Just back to Walmart. I was looking to Walmart on the 45 minute of the hour, was it? So Walmart, I'd play off these touches to the 200. And the person on that over the next few days should see, yeah. So clearly, massively, you see what I mean about the volatility? It's like small cap volatility that a big cap kind of has, and ultimately ignores benchmark 1 and just completely accepts benchmark 2 there. And then attempts to actually breaks its liquidity pool here. That would be the liquidity pool, I imagine. There or thereabouts, give or take 5 or 10 cents there. So that would be the liquidity pool that we're just tapping into now. So we didn't tap it there. We have come in all the way now, which is almost a retest of benchmark 2. And now we're coming off, as you said, with a bit of a vengeance in this session. If I look at what's gone on in the session, what do I want to know about in the session? It would be the last swing in of that last position that they done. And again, the benchmark down here at 58, this is where everything's been pulled in lately, but really that's what I'm taking. That's business right there. So they've already done profit taking at target 1, gone back to take a look here, and now they've gone 2, so they can come back to a liquidity pool here, and that's kind of the way I play things. So let's do a trade on, but it's a kind of momentum trade. If you're a momentum trader now, you've got that entry there. Whether or not this turns into one or turns into a pullback is obviously then not a momentum trade. What else we got in the chat? Soon. Yep. Right, so see, I don't know if this would work out, but these pink moving average is coming down. If they come down whilst Walmart is pulling up, and then you get that what would be a green to red move, that would be a beautiful trade in my opinion, because you haven't met your benchmark yet and you have a bigger gap, right? You're almost getting the same trade again, but now they've got the liquidity, you get a quicker fruition on your trade. So SOUN. We're looking at here. Okay, pick it SUN. Right, so this is finished. They've used it all up, so that's gone. So is this guy, and all they've gone, right? So they worked for their purpose at the time. They're no longer valid. Now, let me just quickly look at something longer. Okay, so look, to be fair, this is the I can't tell you, this is an anomaly, right? This, in terms of what happens, I don't normally see this happening until like December, January. This last 3 months, it's just stopping in between the two. It doesn't mean it's over, but it's a real mind bender. Normally with that volatility that comes out of here, you expect another 2 bars, bang, bang, to just go to that, and you can literally limit orders short and off it comes. That isn't happening right now. So again, all we can do is know that this latest sell side failed and they attempted to go to the top, right? So buyers are still in play and a buy side hasn't failed yet all the way up. Okay, so they've all held. This is the latest buy side from this push up and it's holding. Now let me just turn back the tape. Oh, that's why I have to turn it off. So it's shouting out CXAI at me for the moment. I'm just going to turn it down a touch. Well, just turn it down a sec, then I can actually talk. So when it hits this, I'm looking to hit it shout soon at me. I'm more confident that actually this is, we haven't got a pin bar here. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. What have we got on the lower time frames here? Okay. If I'm micro analyzing this, right? This worked. The micro swings are continuing to work. Buy side is sitting here as well. Okay, so right now, buy side is in control and one sell side has failed. So then I don't want to get myself into a position where just because I have this benchmark here, I'm going to assume that it's going to go up. But the market's telling me and the price is telling me buyers are still holding. The only difference is the seller. So the sellers failed this one, like they've failed every single time on Soundhound so far. This is the latest one. Buyers are still holding. So this is now, okay, what are my options here? Well, you can take this pin bar as confirmation in this buyer's hold pool that we think it's going to go up for a nice 750, a nice run for 50 cents. Then you've got the decision, do we think this is high of day? If you reject in here, you could have a nice trade and a nice fade for the day. But you also have the option to break and close above 780 and go for 9. So that's the problem. If I didn't see anything else up here and I would have said, yeah, that's the purse done for this stock, it's finished. Or if you know that there's warrants, if you're looking at the SEC docs and you know there's warrants, or on dilution tracker, they'll just show you straight away. If you knew there was warrants that are there to be exercised at 9, that would be another good reason to keep playing the buy side, because there's still work to be done, right? There's still a job to be done to get people to exercise those warrants. So right now, buyers still in control. Yes, there is a buy opportunity on here. It's below, actually on the 1 minute, it's definitely below. So the 1 minute's below all moving averages. I quite like it long for 750, to be honest. But we have to get micro on it, right? Otherwise, you can take the trade with your stop below there. Just be aware what it's creating in your way for you. All right, just be aware. Oops, can't move these about. Yeah, just be aware that for the uptrend to continue, the sell side pulls have to fail, and they're committed, right? So right now, it's okay. You need to see it fail and come back below. Switch that tape back on. Mara's filling in its gap, Nolly. All right, CXAI. So I'm going to take a look at CXAI. I'm actually going to bring this Soundhound in. Okay, so that's what you got to be careful of. See, you think that bull bar is going to the moon, but you don't know that pause there. That's the problem. And any good retail seller, right, that thinks this is backside, they're shorting these pops. And they are good retail sellers. They're limit order kind of sellers that would place these orders here.
Well, speaking of retail, I'm starting to see Russell pushing up again. So it's testing that initial wick up, the morning wick up, and just boom, comes right up to fill to that wick there. Interesting. So yeah, speaking of coming back to things, I'm curious. Well, let me see. I drew a line here. Let's see what happens with it. So Disney. This is real interesting because it looked like it was rejecting, it's giving up, and I just kind of drew a very short-term channel here to see if it would hold. And this is where I said, oh, maybe it's, maybe for the moment it's not going to. But I'm curious on a slightly less insane time scale. You see here, because it looks like, relative to those levels, this looks like that, tested the downside, but now it's not really making a move up. So, but we're not really in the area. Or I guess we are in the area where we'd see chop, right? Like I was thinking, you were saying we'd see chop once we got to one of those liquidity areas. We'd bounce around within it, but it's more you're thinking it's just going to try to choose a direction in this whole area, right?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, let me I'll bring that back up in a sec.
Apologies, I'm fighting a cold, so I just got some some sniffles. It's while you're doing that, it's interesting, trying to remind myself not to chase anything if I'm not up to par. I think that's one of the biggest challenges for me and for a lot of our traders is, not every day you're going to get a read on it. And also, like you were saying, waiting for that right time. You can trade with I guess you could trade with the dumb retail, you could trade with the smart retail, or you could trade with the professional level, and the goal is, at the very least, you don't have to be smarter than the joke about not having to be smarter than the bear.
No.
Okay, well, there's two guys, they're in the woods, and all of a sudden they see a bear, they start running. So the one guy says, well, we can't outrun the bear. And the other guy says, well, I don't have to. I just have to outrun you. So, yeah. But, yeah. But in the
exactly, of course, that is exactly the game, right?
Yeah, in our in the Discord, we've been digging into the behavioral finance a little bit. So we looked at prospect theory last week. We might look at that further. And that was really interesting. A few of us got a lot of insight out of that, and that's just tying into how do you weigh risk reward too. So it makes sense to keep that in mind ourselves when we're looking at a trade, and it's people like to say, oh, it's so juicy, and that could be a case where your counterparty is also looking at that, right, and they're or metaphorically the market as a whole, right? There's people on the other side of it who see you seeing that. And if they're like, hey, there's no volume here, there's volume up here, right? They'll let you take it, but just because it's interesting thinking about how we weight risk and reward, and whether it's it's worth keeping in mind your own personality, and it's worth keeping in mind, I guess, the personality of the market as a whole, or the personality of other traders in the game, even if there's something that looks good technically, at least from just the levels and so forth. You have to weight how other people are weighting it, right? So that's real interesting. So we'll probably be digging into that more. I'm not representing it well because like I said, I'm fighting a cold, but it's not just a matter of introspection. It's also a matter of, just similarly to the liquidity pools, right? Like the enthusiasm, or however you want to put it, can really guide you. So we'll probably be discussing that more as well, both from analyzing the market. We can get into stuff like reflexivity, right? And also just from a personal standpoint, like how to maintain that discipline. So we're having some really good discussions there.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I've got these levels here, and the way I try and go with the institutional flow, I still struggle with the rules I place. I still struggle with FOMO. I like everything I do, or everything that is executed should be executed with best execution in mind, which should mean you're waiting all the time for a better price and not trying to get in at those highs. And speaking of that, there's two quick things to look at. One of them is Mara, as Nolly called out. It's filling the gap. And I have a liquidity pool down here as well. So just keeping an eye on that. a minute ago that looked really nice. CXAI wants it bad. I've got to look at this. It's literally screaming at me in my ear. One sec, I've got to take a look at yeah, so this looked really good. I've got to turn it off. One sec. I've got to look at it. I'll come back tomorrow.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It's like you get your IT set up and everything works smooth, and you get it a little too fancy, and suddenly I don't know if you saw earlier, I was like looking around, and suddenly you've got too many things going on.
Yeah. What? So what did I like about it being shouted out on my thing? I've got. Oh, okay. Right. I love this plate. This is like literally. Is this a split? Is this a reverse split at all?
It's probably split adjusted on the chart, though. It'd have to be, right?
Yeah, you normally get a little S down here, don't we? If there's oh, you don't chart on here. It's going again.
I have right. I have trading view as well, so
yeah, so there's they normally have a little split, so it doesn't look like it is.
Yeah, I'm just saying the price normally that they show is split adjusted. I think in our Trader Evolution setup, it's not. So that's something to be aware of. Oh, okay. We had a question with that on Walmart. So, and that's the other thing I'm trying to remind myself, incidentally, with discipline is just if I see that a sudden move on something, sometimes the market can be telling you things, right? Like that's one of the things I love about markets is that it can give you insight that, hey, something's brewing, something's moving out there, right? But, also if there's a sudden move and you don't know why it is, it could be a blip, it could be, some kind of retail pump and dump, it could be, you don't know what's going on necessarily. And so for me, and I think approaches differ, right? Yours might not take this into account, so I'm curious your take on it. But, for me, what I'm trying to work on is, hey, let me go and check real quick. Like, hey, the move's there. I don't want to miss the move. But also, like, why is it moving? Let me at least take a quick glance around and see if there's an event going on, if there's a catalyst, So
yeah. I think, yeah, when it comes down to why, so there's two different things in terms of the larger cap securities. That I know I'm simply just going with the best execution and the benchmark generally. If we don't go all the way through the benchmarks in the opening half hour, the opening 45 minutes with momentum, then this is going again. I've just chased this, by the way. I've got to tell you, I just have chased it. We'll see what happens, but yeah, it's So with the large,
I think going back to the behavioral finance thing, you're going back to the prospect theory thing, right? Like, I don't think, sometimes there can be a move that you want to just jump on, right? But I think as long as you keep it in your mind, hey, I'm chasing here, and then if it goes back on you, like, don't keep it in the same category mentally as those things that come from deep analysis. Be ready to cut it, because that way if you weight those appropriately, you can get those things that are on instinct and those quick movers. But you can also take advantage of the expertise that you do bring to the table. You're not wasting that. So
yeah, I mean, even here compared to the general, it's coming in again. Even compared to the retail entry, right? It's a VWAP retail entry, same color change again, or it's a doji, but it's the same entry. And that entry there is a decent entry. There's not a chase, it's a pullback. The VWAP holds, moving averages there. That's a beautiful entry. I've just jumped in on this week when this week started reversing at the aggressive moving averages, right? But I can also hear, I've got the benefit of having the tape essentially in my ear. So, it's the time and sales pretty much, isn't it? It's when the time and sales speeds up, that's what's coming in right now. But that also happens at a point of exhaustion. So we'll see what happens.
And but speaking of, Robinhood just, wowee.
Right, so that's now where I'll become interested in Robinhood. If this closes out here, because
then you're looking for it to just drop another
yeah,
point. Another
I'd be. Did I draw it in? I don't think I drew it in. Expecting. I was just saying I wouldn't get in out of that level. Oh yeah, I'd now be looking 1562, 1538, and benchmark down at 15. So that would be, if I'm saying without going to draw it all in, my meter of the move would be that bit, pretty much a little bit lower, around 15. And breaking out here and closing down there is a nice play, in my opinion. You've got, it's kind of touched down here before, so but still, nevertheless, it's that's what I'd be looking for on Hood. CXAI. What's the Russell doing?
It tapped the opening wick up and it rejected. We'll see if it can. It's trying to hold here, so that's interesting.
Okay, NQ the same. So yeah, it's just stacking on. I'll leave that at different colours.
Very well so. And while you're doing that, like going back to Disney here, excuse me, this is one of the things I like where, I'll use these fib channels, and what I've done here is I've overlaid them in the lower left, right? So here is the ascending channel, right? So I can see if it drops out of that, and to me that looks bearish because it just keeps losing levels, right, over time. But I also let's see. No, I don't want that. Give me a second here. I also have this here where I drew this. Let me see, where did I draw this? I might have had this drawn earlier even. But the question is, okay, is it gonna confirm this downward channel, and it's not doing that either. So like right now we're in the midst of them, but I find that I did the same thing on this. I had this little 5-second chart just for the fast twitch stuff earlier, and so I like that because it's real interesting because you can see where you get that divergence there, and then you can see it just chopping around in the middle of them. So that tells you too, is it in an indecision zone?
Yeah.
But
I'm just trying to see if I can make that. I'm seeing if I can try and get a trade out of Hood.
Now going back to our talk earlier, right? Like, by earlier, I mean a minute ago, but when we're looking the discipline or looking for the why, right? Like it might not even be the reason. Like there's the fundamental why, and then there's the market mechanics why, right? So you might not know the catalyst, or you might be focused on, well, I'm trading the chart, whatever happens. But I guess your view is regardless of the catalyst or regardless of the news or the sentiment, it's going to go based on, you're looking at that previous session, for example, right?
Previous and pre-market, yeah. The pre-market is positioning.
Well, previous session meaning like maybe the European session or what have you, right?
Yeah, it'll be in Globex. It will be that European, that London session, and I might look back to yesterday's lows or whatever to take some data from yesterday's lows or yesterday's highs. But it's generally, I'm looking for a point in that day to formalize. Not I'm looking for a point in that day to draw a line, across the chart to the future, to the right hand side. For the big caps generally, even in earnings, I know you play a fair bit of earnings, don't you, Tim? Do you find it's 50-50 with good earnings and bad earnings, that the good earnings 75% of the time always go up and vice versa, or do you find it's a little bit buy the news, sell the rumor?
I'm usually only It depends. I used to do those more. Obviously with trade the pool, we don't hold those positions overnight going in earnings. You can do it with the options, right? I used to do that a bunch. Trade the run up into earnings, and then short. For example, if I see a run up, I might short a call against a longer term lower call that's now in the money, for example. But yeah, it's just a gamble, honestly. Like I sometimes you can get a read on it. Like ARM, I felt pretty good about. There's an Nvidia one before, but I think it's more that sometimes you might get a fizzle, right? It's more of like an expected move, and that's where you get the IV crush from, right? So you can I think what I try doing most nowadays is, I'll look for a move off of the earnings and try to fade it. I'm usually tempted to try to fade a big move. I like to flatter myself that I'm smarter than the herd, and the wisdom of the crowds is right more than I might like to admit. So, ooh, Microsoft is running.
Just taking a look.
Why might that be? I needed to pick up on, and I meant to mention, this is funny because I meant to mention it earlier. I'm going to pull up Google and see how they're doing. Let me get out of my 5-second chart here. Okay, so Google's just been shopping around their low from yesterday. And so I'm curious if Microsoft, do we know why Microsoft's right? Is there news, or what's Microsoft look like either? Okay. It's interesting. They've got that kind of W shape there. So Google yesterday, or Google over the weekend, right? They had that sort of hilarious faceplant with Gemini, where it was just really, like coming in hard on like racial politics and things like that in the AI, and just chiding people for different queries that they might make, telling them that they're, bad people for looking into this. I can't do this. I can't do that. And like to the extent of people asking for technical instructions, it was a sort of tricky bet whether the Gemini AI would decide that, I can't be part of this. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes for things like, can you teach me how to butcher a cow? And sometimes, I forget some of the trivial examples, but, and then the image generation was kind of the face of it. So you got to see this kind of, obviously it ties into broader culture war things, which I'm not going to touch here. But, you get that moment where if your product turns into a meme, I think you might have done something tricky there. So what I heard, the rumor that I've heard, is that there is a shareholder lawsuit potentially against Google because they've opened themselves up to some liability on the defamation front, possibly too. There were some people with books. So there was an author, and he said, "Oh, can you tell me about this author?" And it said, "Oh, this author is, he's not to be trusted." Interestingly enough, he wrote a book kind of criticizing big tech, So he asked Google, what do you think of this author? And which was him. And Google said, "Oh, he's not to be trusted. He says all this kind of conspiracy theories. He's really a problematic kind of figure, if you know what I mean." And he said, "Oh, can you tell me about that?" And Gemini said, "Well, there's all these negative reviews, and he said this, this, and this in his book, and here's this negative review. So and so said this, so and so said that. All of it made up, all of it hallucinated." Which is just the weakness of these. Keep in mind this whole sector, all these language models, right? It's just imagining what a conversation between someone like you and something like it might be in a very real sense. It's not necessarily looking up data in the same way we think that it is naturally. Yeah. And so it's imagining a conversation about book reviews about someone, and if it doesn't have the data, or if some of the safety layers they've put in are interfering with it. The interesting thing also, Gemini, what it was doing, they were trying to increase diversity, but they did it by injecting things into the query at the language level before it went to image generation. So users' queries were being sort of modified, which is fine as far as it goes as a way to implement that. But when you start seeing those things interfering with what you think you're asking it versus what it's actually being asked, if that ties into maybe factual aspects, then that gets fascinating. And so obviously, if they're saying, oh, so and so said this, so and so did that, Air Canada had that thing recently. This is a different jurisdiction, but Air Canada had but hey, Google's global, right? Air Canada was forced to abide by terms of some air carriage terms. They had told a customer that a bereavement fare was an option. That it told the customer, hey, go ahead and book it and provide us proof later, and we'll get you a partial refund or what have you, right? Mm-hmm. So the customer did that, and then they said, well, there's no such policy. Like, the AI made it up. And so they said, well, like, tough luck, right? And so the court said, no, like, you put this chatbot up, you told people to use it, it's giving people advice. Like, that is, I need to look into that as to whether they considered it to be acting as an agent or what the, or just the fact that it was something published on the site. But, I think some of these companies have to be careful when it's, when it's putting something out there as an opinion or as a statement of fact, is the more tricky thing.
Especially asking it what to do with your taxes as well.
Well, usually it's interesting because the Google, like, we have a Google Home thing around and I play with it sometimes, and it'll, if you ask it, even sometimes we'll ask it, is this food good for dogs or not, Right. And it's interesting because it'll usually very carefully just say, oh, well, according to this site, according to that site, if you look at this site, it says this and this. And with Gemini, they're really trying to, I think, just answer your question, and also have an opinion on the matter. And it's just, like I said, when they become a meme, that's tricky. So it looks like they're trying to, anyway, going back to this, I was curious if, Microsoft has that OpenAI stake. So I was curious if it might be tied to that or something else. But
not that I've seen.
I see the same action on Google and Microsoft, honestly, like weakness. But I feel like Google would be the weaker player right now if I wanted to short off this, which I might want to, right? Like, if it loses, the problem is we're at the lows of yesterday, so it's tricky. What do you think?
Google didn't do as anticipated here. It's toying with that target one, and it's gone back for the liquidity pool right now, which is kind of, it's taken it all. It's none of us. It's either, either does it or it doesn't. Microsoft.
Yeah, here we go. We got a quote: Google working hard to lose complete trust of a human with a brain, in the chat. So here's an interesting question, right? So there's a sentiment thing, you might say, right? Like, people are memeing on them and they had to yank the image generation and all this stuff. Potentially talk of a shareholder lawsuit, right? So there's a sentiment kind of move. There's a potential fundamental move, right? And then obviously you've got the market dynamic. So I'm curious, how you would integrate something like that, if you would, or if you would just ignore all that noise and just look straight at the chart. And would you look for, like, a pair trade here? Would you look for, like, do you do that at all? I try to do that in Trade the Pool, like, do the pairs trades and stuff, so I'm not taking on quite as much directional risk.
Well, so no, I don't try and pair them up, and and in terms of the news, I kind of disregard that as well. I will grade catalysts. Like I said, I'll grade catalysts in terms of small caps. And yeah, but for the big caps, I go with the opening business conduct, and I go with the longer term liquidity pools, right? So yeah, I'll be looking on the hourly. Pretty much that would be it. I'll look at yesterday's move versus today's. Where would I expect that liquidity to come in today? What was our pre-market like? And like for Microsoft, the pre-market area, which was sitting, as soon as, well, even if you took into account some of these prints, it's that area there. That area just gives me an idea that up at 408-ish, like I said, you got to treat these as kind of as dots sitting up and around here and below. And Did we go to best execution on the buy side? Well, we were a little bit off, but certainly from the open, yes, we went up there. CXLI is on the tape again, and then to the downside, yes, definitely we went for best execution on the downside. Now, for me, that's potentially a business done on a sideways, given what we're seeing now, which is it went for sell side liquidity, which is fine, but have we got enough today to break out of the downside and start hitting towards benchmarks? I'm not so sure, but that's pretty much all I'll do with the large caps. The small caps is different, because the small caps to me is literally a that's the other agenda. You need to be looking at, if they've got dilution out there, they generally want that dilution done at a specific price. If you can find out what that specific price is by looking through all the SEC filings, it will give you an indication of what the plan is. And CXAI right now, for me, is one that I call my small cap breakers. I have, so it may not appear on here right now, but I have a small cap breakers. Every close, every 4:30 kind of after the close, I look at this, and I feel, oh, it's appeared on here, and I look for this kind of info. It's a little bit. We should be wrapping up now, but it's a little bit of extra info, and I look for this insider, held by insiders and held by institutions. So for SRAFF, for example, 86% held by insiders, 4% held by institutions. So that gives us a little, 10% to kind of play with. But that sort of, when you get that sort of volume coming in, I like everything to be above 5 and 10%, really. 5% on institutions and 10% for insiders, because that means two things. One, my institutional levels are more likely to work with institutional ownership, and with insider ownership, there's going to be a reason that they have an interest in the company, obviously, but they're the guys that like distributing the warrants and the dilution. Most of the bio farmers are, kind of burning their burn rates are crazy. They're burning through their
We've
cash.
talked about that before. Good news for a biopharma can be bearish, because they're going to dilute. Because exactly. they need that cash runway.
Exactly.
Institutions, ETFs as well, right? And their index funds are a little bit of a distortion, but. We got Tiny T saying, I've been backtesting pairs in ETFs. So, we'd love to hear about that. We do, we talk about this stuff on the Discord too. I just want to encourage folks, as you said, we are wrapping up, some of these topics. I'm looking to host some debates sometime soon too, like, do fundamental versus straight technical analysis and those kind of things. So if you like talking about that, folks, you want to be part of it, make sure to stop in the Discord, and we'd love to have you.
Definitely. I mean, I think so CXAI is like on its way to its benchmark here. I'm still looking to get into this or some more. I've chased it up here. It's about where I was right now. 268, 250. 268. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one though. So 268 was my opening chase price. So I'm looking for it to get back up there. That will probably be my sell side price. So the sell pool will be sitting there. So my trade at the moment, I want that sell side to break, and then I'm looking how far it can get. I'm looking to see if we can get up to 320, and how we do that. If I've got that tape blasting off of my ear and trying to get up to there to $5, then that would be great. But at the same time, if sell side liquidity holds, we're very close to that benchmark. It may want to go for the whole run. But there's something else I have to discuss on CXAI, but I might do it another time, or I might do it over at my stream later on, which is, well, after this actually. You can catch me at Liquivision Trades. So I do kind of a post well, not a post market. I do a later on session after this, and I do an early bird session and some pre-market as well. So that's Liquivision, spelt as it sounds, Liquivision trades, and I'll be going over just what the rest of it. I'll take a break now, but I'll be on in about an hour or so. Let lunch go, and then I'll be on. You can also catch me on Tradecast at the same place, same channel. We'll be broadcasting 2 places. I run that past Michael Tim. It's all right for me to do. So
I have a little. I try to stream some things occasionally, but I'm still playing around with that. So I wouldn't. I was just. Yeah, this is a lot of fun though. It's interesting getting to share these things, and yeah, today especially, I think we got some good topics. I just want to encourage people on the topics also we touched on, also just on bias in general, right? Like, whether it be sort of political bias or what have you. Like, again, not touching any of the particular sides, just whichever view you have of a stock, of a company, of whatever else, or the action as well. Like, keep in mind, it's a little different, right? Like the behavioral stuff is keeping your own motivations in mind, or your own biases, but keep in mind too your view of the world, or your narrative about the stock, about the price action. Just question your own narratives when you're trading, and I think that is very helpful. I just want to leave folks with that, because it's too easy to get caught up in how we think the day is going to go, and we want to kind of move with the market.
Yeah, I'm never sure whether I'm still not sure whether a bias is a is a good thing, or whether it should just play what's what you see in front of you right now. So just to look at the trade I've got on right now. So I did mention the CXAI, which is more or less exactly where it was when I FOMO'd it, so that's okay. And then hood hood I took pretty much.
What are those levels? I gotta get that. Was it 1550 is kind of the mid 1550, 1545, yeah.
So hood's latest one didn't really come back for that one, as we said. Hood's latest one's going to be right here. So yeah, I'm looking for hood to really fill that gap. We do have a level here from yesterday. I calculated this one, but that's the gap I'm looking to hopefully get on hood. So we'll see how that goes later on.
And here in mine, I just have it. I have the last runner down there to see if it pushes down more, but I've peeled off most of my position already, so that worked out real nicely.
It's I don't know why I'm posting twice. To be posting that to the trade. It's not Liquid Vision. It's Liquid Vision. There. It's just in that chat. That's the name of that little tool I use. So yeah, obviously I'm not live on there yet. So because I'm over here. So, yeah, I'll head on over to there shortly. We can have a chat, and then I'll take a break for lunch. But for now, if you've enjoyed the session, I certainly have. Give us a like and a subscribe. And Tim, you want to hit the button on this one?
Which button?
Sorry. All right, maybe I'll do just to close it out. I didn't know whether you fancied doing that. I know you was playing some music earlier, so I thought you was all familiar with the production side of things.
Oh, gotcha. Wait, was there music coming through on mine?
Yeah, you hit the music button, right?
At the open? I think that must have been Gil.
Oh no, I hit the open, but the background music was playing. Oh, maybe Gil has been in. I didn't know. I didn't think Gil was around today.
I shouldn't have. I think there's background music on the stream just generally. So.
All right, cool. Okay, so
it's mystery music. We have. I just double checked because speaking of streams, I had on my own thing. I had to take one down because I was accidentally feeding in what I'm sure was a copyrighted thing from Digitally Imported. So I'm still learning OBS and things like that. But
I do need to learn that. I've got something that I actually purchased a license to it, and then when I used it on my stream, I got copyright flag on it. I was like, well, why did I buy that license? What's the point? But yet people on stream could seem to play anything in the background and no problems at all. So yeah, I don't know. I've not quite worked it out yet, but I'll give it a good go. So if I see you over there, that'd be great. But in the meantime, I'm going to hit the closer. So thanks very, very much for coming. What's the day today? Tuesday. We'll be here Wednesday. We'll be here tomorrow, same time, same place, and I'll see you then. Cheers. Thanks, everyone. See you, Tim.
Cheers.